What is up, guys? Rick Cactus here, and today, oh my goodness, we have some absolutely awesome Destiny 2 Forsaken content to share with you guys today. Now that's because I was able to attend the Forsaken launch event, so big thank you to Activision for providing for my flights and accommodations so I could attend, and due to that fact, this video is going to have some all new exclusive Gambit gameplay on, I believe, a brand new Gambit map with some brand new Forsaken weapons, but most importantly, the brand new ARC Warlock Super, the Chaos Reach.
One down, two for one. The executioners come to town.
We have so much gameplay with this thing. It is absolutely insane. Definitely a super that was kind of floating under my radar. And now, boy, I might just have to main Warlock in Forsaken because this thing's amazing. So just before we begin breaking down everything, guys, if you're looking for some amazing gaming headphones, including the ones I personally use, the A40s, I've partnered with ASTRO. So check the link in the description down below. Get a discount code to save some money and help me out. Definition of a win-win right there. Alright, now let's talk this brand new Warlock Super. So, the Chaos Reach, otherwise known as the big massive beam of arc, of electricity, and it looked incredible when it was first shown off in the Forsaken trailer. But of course, how is it really? Is it effective in game? How much damage does it do? All of that stuff. Well, the actual first perk that you're going to unlock in this new attunement. So essentially, all the different supers come in packages of perks. They have their own attunement. So imagine right now in Destiny 2, each subclass has two different attunements you can choose between. Forsaken is just going to add a third one with another bundle of 4 perks. Now the first thing you unlock in this new attunement is access to this brand new super called Chaos Reach. It says, unleash a long-range channeled beam of concentrated arc energy. While active, press the same buttons you use to activate your super to deactivate Chaos Reach early and save super energy. So, in that saving scenario, you can use it to potentially just kill one guy or do some damage, and if something maybe goes wrong, like if you're about to use your super, you just cast it, and oh, your teammate starts using his super, you can press yours and deactivate it, save a bunch of super energy, and save it for when you actually want and need it. Already a versatile, useful ability. Now, as for actually utilizing the Chaos Reach super, the moment you activate it, you become somewhat immobile. So, if you're in the middle of the air and then you activate it, you're going to stay in that position and you rain down your electricity beam on your victims below. But when you're trying to aim that beam, it does feel a little sluggish. You're not like aiming very quickly as if you are using Golden Gun, for example. Additionally, in terms of damage, as you can see from the background gameplay, it melts. It absolutely melts people. And not only did I get a ton of kills while invading, but when we were being invaded, I also utilized this ability, and even with the health buff you get for being the invader, I still melted invaders super fast. So this is going to absolutely shred people in PvP. It's very, very fast killing. In PvE, it does a pretty decent amount of damage. Now, is this, Celestial Nighthawk Golden Gun damage? I don't think so. Of course, there could definitely be exotic armor pieces that do affect Chaos Reach's damage and allow it to compete with Celestial Golden Gunners, but right now it's not quite there yet. But even so, the base version feels like it's doing very good damage and not less damage than any other super. I would definitely compare it to the amount of damage output you have with a Sunbreaker Titan with the hammers that split apart, right? It kind of feels in that area close to that damage output, which is actually pretty darn good. And so most things are very positive. However, one negative that does come to mind with this new super is that the ability to deactivate it rarely comes up. And even if you deactivate it like I did with about half super energy, it still all went away. You have to deactivate it really, really early on to get the super benefit. On top of that, it is kind of hard to aim because there's a lot of visual effects going on. It's easier in Gambit where you can actually see the outline tag of your enemies when you're invading, but in just Clash, it might be a little bit difficult to acquire multiple targets because again, there's just a lot going on. But of course, with any super, any attunement, we have a lot more going on here than just the actual super. First off, we have a brand new melee ability called Ball Lightning. Fire an arc projectile that travels forward and releases a perpendicular bolt of lightning, unlocked by defeating enemies with your arc abilities using Attunement of Control. So, like it states, you just unlock these other abilities aside from the main super by just playing with this attunement, playing with this super. And the melee ability I absolutely loved. And you can see gameplay in the background. This isn't a melee ability. It's called one, but it isn't. It's really just another grenade. Straight up, this thing travels for a seriously long time. Like a substantial length, way more than any other melee ability out there aside from, throwing knives and the new Titan throwing hammer. But this is definitely up there. But like I said, it really feels more like a grenade. You can see me using it against phalanxes. Now normally, meleeing a phalanx, especially a taken phalanx, is like the worst thing you can do. It's a terrible idea. But with this melee ability, you shoot out that arc projectile, then it hits them, it stops when it hits an enemy it seems, then it shocks them, doing damage to them and flinching them. That's everything you want, and that's basically everything you're hoping to accomplish when you throw a grenade at those guys as well. Now, I should mention, it doesn't keep going forever. It does stop after a predetermined length and explode. Now, when you are extremely close range, it appears to just act like a normal Stormcaller melee. You still seem to do a little bit bonus damage when you have it charged. The ball doesn't do anything special. You don't really even see it appear, but basically it's a normal Stormcaller melee, and then when you want to have an extra grenade or damage people at the end of a hallway or flinch PvE enemies or all of that stuff, you just use it at range. Alright, moving on from there, we have a perk called Pulse Wave. Being critically wounded triggers an energy wave that boosts yours and allies' speed. And again, it's unlocked by just utilizing this attunement. So, whenever you're critically wounded, whenever you're flashing on your screen, you're going to give your allies and yourself bonus movement speed. Well, that's a pure beneficial thing. When do you want bonus movement speed? Well, you want it when you're critically wounded so that you can evade whatever's actually trying to critically wound you and, probably kill you. So it's a very actually useful ability, and the fact that it does impact your allies is something pretty neat as well. The thing that comes to my mind is that can you throw like a grenade or something, wound yourself, and give all your allies a boost of speed when you're trying to capture zones and control and stuff like that at the very beginning of spawn? Is that actually going to be a strategy? I don't really know. But it is a very interesting ability nonetheless. Moving on from there, the last perk in this attunement is Ionic Trace. Defeating enemies has a chance to create Ionic Traces. Collecting Ionic Traces grants energy to all of your abilities. And just like everything else is unlocked for playing this attunement. So, that is a really interesting and actually, having played this super, really impactful perk. Basically, whenever you kill enemies, you have, a small percent chance or a certain percent chance to create these Ionic Traces. They travel along the ground and to you, and that's why it says collecting Ionic Traces. It doesn't say creating them or whatever. You do have to have them kind of go back into you to give you this ability, and it will grant energy to all your abilities. Now, what does that mean? Energy to all your abilities. Well, when you're utilizing your super, there was a couple of times I noticed that my super seemed to be extending itself. Basically, it was acting like Dawnblade is right now, where if you get kills, especially in PvE, you get kills on low-level enemies, it extends and extends, and you can use it longer and longer and longer. This was kind of doing the same thing. When I was in a position to actually be collecting those Ionic Traces, I noticed my super going back up and lasting for a very, very long time. And this opens up the strategy of being able to, rocket a group of adds, and then once you see those Ionic Traces created and start to go towards you, you then activate your super, start DPSing the boss, and as your Ionic Traces are hitting you from that rocket, you're going to extend and extend and extend your super, just DPSing the crap out of a boss. That is such a cool strategy. But remember, even though it's very impactful when using your super, these are just active like all the time. So every time you're killing enemies, and it just says defeating enemies, it doesn't say defeating enemies with some sort of ability or with some sort of element, just defeating enemies, which is the game plan for pretty much all of Destiny, you're going to get the benefit of having these things that are going to give you more energy to all your abilities. So your super, your grenade, your melee, your class ability, those are all going to be impacted by this ability. So let's talk about this attunement as an overall package. How was this as a brand new thing you can select for the Stormcaller Warlock? Well, in Gambit, I found it really fun and actually really effective, and I think I would use it over just the normal Stormcaller, just because the amount of damage output you have, I think is substantially higher than Tickle Fingers. Honestly, like, it takes a while to kill Guardians with Tickle Fingers, and even when you're kind of blinking around, like, you can definitely have some very effective kill streaks when you're using the traditional Stormcaller super, but the fact that you can use this Chaos Reach at such ranges, it does such good damage, I feel like it's a little bit better for getting those multi-kills when you're invading and so on. But against adds too, it just felt like the increase in damage, the fact that you could just beam over a bunch of high-level enemies and actually kill them reasonably well. Like, I mean, I'm sure you guys have used the normal Stormcaller super against even a Yellow Knight. Takes 10 years to kill that guy. This is substantially faster, so I really, really enjoyed my time with it, specifically in Gambit. As for other things, I think it's going to be pretty decent, especially because of that Ionic Trace perk. The fact that you can start getting that going and get that bonus energy, that's going to be something that really, really extends the power of this super. And again, the fact that it does have that range gives it a lot more versatility than some of the other supers out there. You know, if you're DPSing Callus, for example, I know that raid's going to become somewhat irrelevant, but it's a good example. I mean, if you have normal Stormcaller, basically useless. This, you can actually hit and damage him. So should you pick this new super as one of the first things you level up and try to attain in Forsaken? Well, if you are a Stormcaller main, and you've ever found yourself thinking, I wish this had better range, which I know is like kind of a meme within Stormcallers, and killed a little bit faster, then yeah, you should definitely go after this new super. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 Forsaken content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCactus. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel, which you can also follow. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.